bids are in. The gavel has dropped. Ladies and gentlemen, here at WineBid, we are finally hammered. That's right. This is WineBid's podcast dedicated to all things wine value, wine auctions, wine retail, and just wine. With you, of course, as always, I am Jeff McGurn on the WineBid marketing team. And right next to me is my compatriot, the savant of Sauterne, Paul Walker. That's right. Paul is a wine expert. And
wrong.
Yeah, he's going to be talking with us today about.
That's like, what am I going to be doing? You're making me nervous. That
wine coming into auction from the United States. Maybe it should be the Sage of Sonoma, Paul Walker, to talk with us about wine coming into auction today or this week, rather. So
I wanted to actually, Jeff, do you mind if I give a little sidebar with your grandiose intro here? I did want to mention, because I know from week to week, we change our, groups of picks that we pick for the auction. We're not able to basically talk about all the new interesting things from all the different parts of the world each week. On certain weeks, we can actually get the chance to talk about everything, but oftentimes we're strapped for time, and so we don't have a chance to review stuff from France or stuff from Spain or stuff from Italy or California, for that matter, or Northwest or whatever. So it's important, I think, to review the blog on our website.
Yes,
because that has links to all the picks that Jeff and I put together each week. So there always is a list, I should say. There's always a very extensive list of wines that we pick for each podcast, frankly, but we never get a chance to talk about all of them. But each week we have a lengthy list of picks of wines that we love and we want to feature: great values, superstars, rarities, weird things, all kinds of stuff. So I just wanted to stress that. And don't forget, wines are added throughout the week to the auction. So it's important to check back for your favorites or for interesting things after Monday. Generally, everything is up by Sunday night, Monday afternoon, but there are other wines added to auction during the week. So I just wanted to state that.
You're not wrong. And this is why you're a wine expert, because you come up with these brilliant insights like this. No, look, and I think I'll just add one thing to that like Paul and I every week look through every single lot coming into auction to pick out the best of the best, right? We're not trying to push any one thing or another, quite the opposite.
Jeff's always pushing Chapelet, but
let me say that I have a disincentive to push Chapelet because I like Chapelet, and
I know the prices keep going up, so you should stop talking about it.
I know I should shut up. I should also stop talking about like Alsace. But you know what?
Yeah, exactly. I have an Alsatian Pinot Noir recommendation this week. So,
well, I have a duty to the 7 bots and 1 human that listen to our podcast, and my mom, who also probably is the only other listener.
Who's the human that's listening? I guess Sterling listens sometimes.
Sterling listens.
Shout out to our colleague Sterling, because he does listen to the podcast.
He does listen. He does listen to the podcast religiously. From what I understand,
the one employee and the 7 robots that listen.
The 1 employee and 7 robots, but Sterling just listens to find out what my picks are, because he's trying to, he's trying to invest, I think. I guess is
That's right. I forgot he's such a proponent of wine investment. And you're the wine investment expert, so
I suppose I'm just as much of a wine investment expert as I am a card and dice futures expert. Although my wine collection is probably appreciated more than anything I've put into card or dice futures. Let's just put it that way. That stuff's all gone. So let's jump into U.S. wine, because I think that hopefully we'll be able to cover more this week, but I think that might be all we cover. I'm going to start right off with, we've got some 80s Caymus in auction. There's an 83.
I knew you were going to start.
You know what I say? Because it's good.
Predictable.
It's so predictable. I'm so predictable. An 86 special selection, 175, 225 respectively.
I go for the 87. It's better vintage.
Well, I saw the 87s as well. I don't know. I picked doing some research. I picked the.
Have you had these
the bottle?
The 87s will blow the 86 out of the water.
I buy the bottle. Paul Walker buys the vintage. So but the other one,
That's
the other
such
one,
nonsense.
I'm moving, I'm moving on. We've got a bunch of some Joseph Phelps coming to auction. There's the Islay Cabernet Sauvignon from 85 for 340. We've got 7 of those. I had that was
Yeah, it's quite a collection of 85 eyes. I think a lot of these wines came out of a single cellar, and so there were a lot of, multi-bottle, just multiple bottles of the same wine. Which in this case there definitely were.
well.
And great, yeah, that's a marquee bottle there.
That's a marquee bottle. They also have a 94 Insignia for 245, which I thought was I've got my eye on. I thought that was interesting. And then speaking of some other older stuff, maybe from the same cellar, 7 bottles of 85 Heights Martha's Vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon for 565 a piece. I thought that one was super interesting. 1978 Mondavi Reserve Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yeah, that
one
was
of those.
definitely on my list. That stuff is amazing.
Epic Vintage 78, right? 280. And what's interesting to me is that's, great producer, Epic Vintage, it's their reserve 78. 280 doesn't seem crazy to me. I thought also interesting, we got 4 of the 87 Montelena Estate Cabernet Sauvignon for 205 a piece. I didn't think that was crazy.
You're picking all of my California picks here. 87 is great. And there's, I think
Behringer. Do you see the Behringer 87?
Yeah, I saw that too. Fantastic shape, those wines.
They look great.
Oh, no, that's right. There's 94 and 14. Those were my other Montelena. I was going to say, but yeah, 87 Montelena Estate is really, really, really good.
Did you happen to see all of the litany of Diamond Creek we have out of the wazoo? 84 Gravelly Meadow for 210. There's 10 of the 84 or 8 or 10 of the Gravelly Meadow. Yeah, 10 is what I counted. We've got 90 Gravelly Meadows, 91 Gravelly Meadows, 91 Gravelly Meadow / Lake Blend for 385, 84 Red Rock Terrace for 320, 86 Red Rock Terrace for 195, 89 for 1. I mean, I could go on and on. There's I'm sure you have because you're significantly older than I am, but I haven't seen this much Diamond Creek come into auction, I think, ever. This is I counted 30 something bottles of Diamond Creek that are new. This 33 lots of Diamond Creek that are new. That's a good amount of Diamond Creek. And by the way, one of the Gravelly Meadows has a bid on it. 78 Chapelet, which I thought was really cool. This one we've got one of them for 355. I think that's going to be a really cool. I mean, again, marquee Napa vintage, and this is just a great producer up on Pritchard Hill. There's I'm jumping around here. 97 Dominus Estate. We've got 2 of those at 245. I know you're a big Dominus fan. One that I thought was really interesting, and this one I was trying to do a little bit of research on this. For $1,500, you can have a 1968 Ridge Hollywood Cuvée Cabernet Sauvignon. This bottle is, are you familiar with this, Paul?
I took a look at it actually.
It was produced for some Hollywood Wine Society or something like that.
I think it's the Wine and Food Society, and there are chapters of it all over the place. And I believe this was for, some Los Angeles division. I kind of wanted to, actually, I'm sure there's going to be, maybe there is a 360 photo for this. I'm not sure if there is, because there is a little bit of a write-up on the back label. I can't remember. Well, it's essentially 68 Montebello. That's what it is.
According to some stuff I read, it's basically, it comes from grapes picked by the members of the Wine and Food Society of Hollywood on October 5th, 1968, from 20-year-old vines, and then was fermented separately from the main batch picked. The write-up is on the label. It's on so we need to get a 360 photo. I'll ask Ryan to do that, because it essentially states proves this, if you will, on the label itself, because the back label always has a write-up. So yeah. So cool stuff. Super rare. And this is also, by the way, from the same cellar as many, if not
most or all of the Diamond Creek wines you were mentioning. It's listed as it was described in that our colleague Rich, who went and picked these wines up from a Bay Area, Northern California Bay Area cellar, actually is pretty interesting setup, and it's been a very, very cool space for a super, super long time. So anyway, it comes from the same cellar as some of these other older Californias we've been mentioning. And yeah, they're in remarkable shape. The color's great too. I looked at one of the two bottles because I think there's two of them of the ridges of the 68s. But yeah, killer stuff.
Really, really cool stuff, I thought. And this is one of those ones where, like, if you have the money to spend and somebody who loves wine or is a collector of wine and it's impossible to shop for, like, this is one of those very rare things that you're just like, even if you want to buy it, it's not coming into auction every day or even every year.
That's true.
It's just very, like, this stuff very rarely comes along, right? It's not like your 2019 Schrader Double Diamond Oakville Cabernet Sauvignon, which we have an auction again at 145. Thought I'd get that mention in. We've got a ton of Inglenook coming into auction this week.
Yeah, most of which is also from the same seller too. So
85 Silver Oaks, 86 Silver Oaks, 7 Silver Oaks, all of them around 110, 120, 89 Silver Oaks for 90. I mean, just a ton of Silver Oak coming into auction, in addition to a ton of Inglenook coming into auction as well. 62 Cabernet Sauvignon, 73, 76, 85 Charbonneau, 62 estate bottled, 62, another 60. I mean, I'm guessing a lot of these are maybe even from that same cellar.
The Inglenooks, the St. Clements, Silver Oaks, My Camas wines. There's all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah. Check out all those
and all price ranges too. I was going to say, I don't know if you have additional selections, but
I do. Give me just 1 second here, okay? 96 Palmer, 69 Mayacamas, Cabernet Sauvignon. We've got 2 of those for 600. We also have the 17 at 490, 18 at 600, 19 at 580. McDonald Cabernet Sauvignon. Oh, sorry, that was the McDonald Cabernet Sauvignon for 630. Bukella Cabernet Sauvignon from 2010 at 130. I thought was interesting. I've got my eye on this 2018 Lael J. Daniel Cuvée for 190. We've got 2 of those. I've got my eye on 2019 B Cellars Beckstoffer Missouri Hopper Vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon for 170. 2015 Ascendo Cellars Cabernet Sauvignon for 200. We also have
Chendo. I think it's called Chendo.
And I know this one, I'm sure you're watching it. You probably, all of these, the Yao Ming family wines.
Some good deals, because those are expensive.
They're
expensive from the winery. So I noticed that. I saw those.
And the last one I'll put down, which I was trying to figure out more about this, but the 1988 Gustave Niebaum collection Mass Vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon 3-liter. And do you know who Gustave Niebaum was?
I do. Yes.
Of course you do, because you're a wine expert. You prove my point. Gustave Niebaum was, of course, the founder and owner of Inglenook. And so it's interesting to see that Mass Vineyard has some sort of Gustave Niebaum collection, which I, was super duper curious about. I'll have to find out more.
It's got a signature on it too.
Yes, probably of Gustave Niebaum.
No, it's definitely not.
Sharpied it. You don't think so? You don't think he signed a bottle from 1988
with a gold Sharpie?
A gold Sharpie 100 years after his death.
Oh goodness, maybe it's a Solera and it's got some 1940s juice in it or something. No, it's definitely not. I don't want to spread rumors. It's single vintage, single vintage 3. Yeah, that's an interesting bottle.
It's a super interesting bottle. Anyway, take it away, Paul.
Oh yeah, no, I mean a lot of the same things that you mentioned before from this particular cellar, where while I do want to stress it does mention it's passive storage. I don't think it was, actively temperature controlled, but it was in a really well protected subterranean space where the temperature didn't vary much, because the conditions of a lot of these wines is really, really good. And so and an original owner anyway. But yeah, no, there were some other interesting things too. I noticed there's like an 81 Burgess library release cab for $30. I thought that was a steal. 87 Cardinal. Don't see 80s Cardinal hardly ever. So I thought that was cool. It's from a fantastic vintage. That's $80. There were some, the Cerritos Cabernet. I noticed the 17 Cerritos Cab from Peter Martin Ray Vineyard popped in this week. That's a really, really, really good Cabernet. On the less, spoofulated side, if you will. 87 Chapelet as well as that 78 you mentioned. Yeah, 84 and 87 Montelena and 94 and 14 I thought were interesting. There's some Continuum half bottles, which you don't see very often. Yeah. 19 half bottles for 115, and then 750s for 180. So better deal to buy the 750s. Maybe there's bids on the half bottles. I didn't look. There's some Crown Point Cabernet, which is really interesting because it's quite expensive, but it looks like there's some bids on it. I've never heard of this wine, but it's from Happy Canyon in Santa Barbara AVA, I guess. But yeah, bids on the 16 at $91. I was like, wow, I'm not familiar with this wine at all. So it caught my eye. So I put those down just because I've never heard of it. I'd be interested to taste it. But anyway, I think the most inexpensive one was the 17 at 75, but the rest are more than that. Some Donna Estates, there's 3-bottle horizontal of the 3 different designations from 2015. There's also a 13 Hershey Mag, 74 David Bruce Cab for $75. I thought that was a pretty awesome way to try a certain individual's birth year wine for a lot less than what many other producers in California are going for. So that was interesting. Some Detert Cabernet Franc, the vineyard right behind McDonald's in Tokelon country over there in Oakville. Anyway, really amazing Franc from them. A bunch of Diamond Creeks we mentioned, a bunch of Dominus, interesting Dunn vintages, 89 Napa, which I wonder how that's drinking, but 14 Howell Mountain 2 for 125. I didn't think it was too bad. There's also, let's see, some Flora Springs Trilogy from 86 for 55, I thought was reasonable. There's an 89 Foreman in there for 80. A lot of 89s, which is kind of interesting. It might have been, I don't know, birth year bottles or something. 85 and 87 Freemark Abbey Boucher, which were really, really good years ago. I haven't tried them a long time ago, and also the Sycamore, which you don't see as much. 87 Sycamore for 65 and 90 Sycamore for 50. Some Gemstone wines in, which don't come in too often. I don't know if the label's still around. Probably is, but anyway, it's under different, I think, ownership and or winemaking and management these days. But 03 Red for 70, I thought was really reasonable. 02 Mag for 170, 03 Mag for 140. There's a Mag of Greer, another wine you don't see very often. 330 for the Mag, which I think has got to be less than the mailing list price because that stuff's expensive. Old Gergich Hills too, 84 and 85, 75 and 65 respectively. I thought those were great deals for mid-80s, classic California producer. 67 Hansel Pinot for 260. It's a Mega Harlan 15. 90 Bella Oaks Heights as well, I thought was cool for 140. You mentioned the Martha's 84, 85, 86. There's some 85 Hess Collection, 9 bottles of that, and some 86 Hess Collection. Great, those wines are really tasty back then. They're not expensive. Some high HDV, high Duvillaine Chardonnay popped in this week, the 19 for 65. Yeah, a ton of really great Inglenooks, some old Jordans, the old Phelpses. There's some Carl Lawrence wines as well, which were sourcing things from like Dr. Crane and Tokelon way back when they weren't as big a deal, and they're still not expensive. 3 Dr. Crane is $85 and the 02 Tokelon is 90. So anyway, favorite mailing list darling these days, Kinsman Eads, some Abero White Hawk Vineyard Syrah came in at $100. Some Kongsgaard, including the second label, which is called King's Farm. You don't see very often. Some Sauvignon Blanc too, which I didn't even know they made. Old Liberty School Cabernet, which is interesting because I think Caymus actually started making that label in the 90s at some point. But anyway, there's a 76 Liberty School Lot 6, some really old Martini, 65 Martini, 66, and then some 83 and 84 Monte Rosso from Martini as well, which supposedly, I think somebody recently said it was like the Tokalon of Sonoma. I think that was the quote I heard or read somewhere. Old Leith Alexander Valley Meritage red table wine at $30 for the 85. That wine was quite good, actually, quite a few years ago. I haven't had it in many years, but quite a few Mary Edwards Pinot Noirs came in, which I thought were good deals. 07, 08, 09, and 10. The Méthode à l'Ancienne, the ancient method Pinot Noir, also Flax Vineyard. I guess they're all from Flax Vineyard, actually. Excuse me. And then old 85 Mount Veeder and 87, $50 for the 85 and $30 for the 87. I thought it's a great way to try like a very classic mountain winery from Mount Veeder. It's been there for a long time. Not expensive, which is, hard to say for a Cabernet these days. 71 Oak Creek Cabernet, which I don't know, but looks like a rarity and interesting wine. 74 Oakville Cellars of Zinfandel as well. Yeah, you mentioned the Paul Myers, 86 in there too, which I thought was cool. Let's see some Rain wines, which is Carlo Mondavi's and forget his colleague's name, but anyway, partnership. We don't see those very often. A few of those came in, the Fort Ross Seaview and St. Robert Cuvées from 16 and 19. Oh yeah, there's Ravenswood Pickberry, which is great stuff. I'm actually bidding on a bottle. So there's 2 bottles, but anyway, those are in at 35. That's like one of my favorite wines from back in the day. And let's see. Yeah, I think that kind of rounds it out. There's some Robert Pepe Vine Hill Ranch Cab from 86 at $25, which I think I'm going to try because it's so reasonable. I think there's a few of them from the late 80s vineyards. Anyway, it's a amazing vineyard in Oakville these days, but Oakville, excuse me, amazing vineyard in Oakville that Robert Pepe was making wines from way back when. So I don't know. I'd love to try that just because it's a, interesting source and have no idea what it tastes like. But 86 Rombacher Cab for $20. There's 7 of those. That was an interesting deal. And then, yeah, you mentioned all the Silver Oak, all the Bonnies and stuff like that. Simi Reserve 74. Some Sleeper Cabernet made its way into the auction this week from our friends down the street. Some old Stag's Leap Cast 23 from 85, 91 Fay, 85 Merlot, I thought was a great deal at $55. And then finally, yeah, some Ulysses, some Wente, old Wente, Charles Wetmore Vineyard, 87s for $30. So a lot of really cool old classic producers that are not terribly expensive. And then, there's Tesseron, 16 Tesseron Estate Pim Ray. I think I mentioned it's Robin Williams' old vineyard that the Tesseron family bought, Ponte Canet fame, I should say. That rounds up my California picks. 1990 ZD Cap also at $40, which again, great producer, great wines, and not expensive.
All right. Well, let's really quickly, before we wrap up here, the only thing I saw out of Oregon that I thought was really interesting was the 2018 Sequitur Ribbon Ridge Pinot Noir at 65. I don't know if you had anything else out of Oregon.
Yeah, I saw there was some JK Carrier Gemini Pinot Noir. I really like those Pinots, and they're $50 for the 16. So it's kind of in the range of a lot of higher end, Willamette Pinot Noir. But that was my only Northwest pick this week.
We had a bunch of stuff coming in from Texas.
Yeah.
From CL.
Yeah, Buteau. I've had the Tempranillo. It's good. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I was actually looking. It gets pretty good reviews. It had me tempted to make some purchases. So if you're interested in trying Texas Tempranillos, Mourvedras.
Yeah, that Carbonic Counoise, that looks a little interesting. It looks a little modern for my taste, but the other ones are good.
Well, you can give them a shot. Anyway, that about wraps things up with WineBid's Finally Hammered. This has been Jeff McGurn and Paul Walker wishing you happy bidding and cheers.
Cheers.